We have all been hearing the whispers for weeks. The rumors have been swirling nonstop that Britt Westbourne was living on borrowed time. Everyone in town thought the Grim Reaper was knocking on her front door. We all assumed that Anna Devane, completely consumed by her dark hallucinations, was going to pull the trigger and end Britt's life. The entire town has been on edge, waiting for the inevitable tragedy to strike. But, guys, we were all looking at the wrong target. This could be the biggest mistake of someone's life. A grave has been dug on Mount Emerson. A bullet is going to fly through the cold night air. But the person who falls into the dirt is not going to be Britt Westbourne. The blood spilled on that mountain will belong to someone else entirely. Let us rewind and look at how this absolute nightmare actually started. It did not start with a loaded gun. It started with a simple, quiet real estate transaction. Anna Devane approached Sonny Corinthos with a very specific, highly unusual request. She wanted to buy a remote, isolated plot of land deep in the freezing woods of Mount Emerson. Now, Sonny is a mob boss. He is naturally suspicious of everything. But this is Anna Devane. This is the chief of police. Sonny did not suspect a single thing. Why would he? He was busy dealing with Jen Sidwell and his complicated romance with ADA Justine Turner. He thought he was just doing a favor for the police chief. He thought this land deal would buy him some serious goodwill with the PCPD. He handed over the deed without a second thought. He assumed she wanted a quiet cabin or a peaceful weekend retreat. He had absolutely no idea that he was handing her a private graveyard. Sonny's signature on that deed unknowingly made him an accessory to a calculated murder plot. If Sonny finds out his land was used for a hit, his fury will be unmatched. But that's not even the biggest surprise. Anna did not buy that land for peace and quiet. She bought it to hide a body. She bought it so she could bury Britt Westbourne where no one would ever find her. The sheer calculation of this move is terrifying. Anna is using her authority, her clean reputation, and her deep connections to orchestrate the perfect, untraceable murder. She secured the location. She made sure there were no security cameras, no random witnesses, and absolutely zero cell phone service. The stage was set for a brutal execution in the middle of nowhere. Here is where things get messy. We have to talk about what is actually happening inside Anna's head right now. She is not the hero we used to know. The trauma from Ross Cullum completely broke her mind. The psychological torture she endured at the clinic in France left her incredibly fragile. And now the ghost of Peter August is living inside her head. The hallucinations are getting stronger every single day. Peter is constantly whispering in her ear. He is feeding her worst paranoia. He is twisting her memories. He is pushing her down a destructive path of pure, unadulterated revenge. Anna truly believes that Britt is the source of all her pain. When Britt lost her temper and screamed at Anna in the hospital, demanding compassion, it was the final nail in the coffin. The hallucination of Peter used that exact emotional outburst to push Anna right over the edge. Peter convinced her that Britt was a threat that had to be eliminated. Permanently. So, Anna set the ultimate trap. She used her skills as a former super spy to lure Britt out of the safety of Port Charles. Britt was already in a highly vulnerable state. She just got her job back at General Hospital. She has been clashing nonstop with the strict new surgeon, Tristan Roberts. She is feeling incredibly isolated because Jason Morgan is focusing all his attention on Danny instead of her. Britt feels completely alone in the world. So, when Anna sent a secret message promising a truce or maybe vital information about her legal troubles, Britt felt she had to go. Britt took the bait. She got into her car and drove up the winding, treacherous, pitch-black roads of Mount Emerson. She thought she was going to a secret meeting to finally get some peace. She had no idea she was driving straight into her own execution. Guys, this is where it gets interesting. Because Britt and Anna were not the only people on that freezing mountain tonight. Let us talk about Kai Taylor. Kai has absolutely no connection to Britt Westbourne. He does not care about her hospital drama. He does not care about her legal issues with the WSB. Kai's entire world revolves around Trina Robinson. Recently, Kai has been on high alert. He has been secretly investigating a massive threat. He firmly believes that someone has been stalking Trina. He noticed someone lingering near Trina's music gigs. He saw a dark shadow outside her window late at night. Kai did not want to alarm Trina right before her big career-making performance with Giovanni Palmieri. So he took matters into his own hands. He bought a heavy flashlight. He started tracking footprints in the mud. He was playing detective, trying to keep the girl he cares about safe. What happened next may be even worse. On this exact night, Kai was out on a secret patrol. He was tracking a suspicious figure in the dark woods near the edge of town. Through the thick trees, he saw a woman moving stealthily toward the mountain. It was Britt. Britt was just trying to navigate the dark woods to find Anna's meeting spot. But to Kai, she looked highly suspicious. He did not know who she was. He just saw a figure creeping around in the dead of night, looking over her shoulder. His fierce protective instincts kicked in instantly. He assumed this mysterious, creeping woman might be the stalker targeting Trina, and then everything spiraled completely out of control. Kai made a fateful, split-second decision. Instead of calling the police, he decided to follow her. He tracked Britt's footsteps up the steep, dangerous incline of Mount Emerson. The wind was howling. The temperature was dropping fast. Kai stayed hidden in the thick brush, moving silently like a ghost. He thought he was about to confront a dangerous stalker. He thought he was going to protect Trina and be the hero. He had absolutely no idea that he was walking blindfolded into a deadly standoff between the psychotic chief of police and a marked woman. Kai finally reached the clearing at the top of the ridge. He hid behind a massive oak tree and peered into the dark. What he saw froze the blood in his veins. He did not see a stalker. He saw Anna Devane, the respected chief of police, and she was holding a loaded gun pointed directly at Britt Westbourne's chest. The tension in that remote clearing was absolutely suffocating. Anna's eyes were wild and unfocused. She was completely lost in her terrifying hallucination. The phantom of Peter August was screaming in her ear, demanding that she pull the trigger and finish the job. Britt was paralyzed with absolute terror. She realized in that horrifying moment that the police chief had brought her up here to die. There was no way out. No one in Port Charles knew where she was. The wind was screaming through the trees, drowning out her desperate pleas for mercy. Anna's finger tightened on the trigger. The hallucination took complete control of her mind and body. She prepared to end Britt's life and bury her in the cold dirt of Mount Emerson. But wait, it gets worse. Kai realized what was happening in a fraction of a second. He did not have time to think. He did not have time to pull out his phone and call for backup. He saw a defenseless woman about to be murdered in cold blood by a corrupt cop. Kai's heroic instincts completely took over his body. As Anna squeezed the trigger, Kai lunged out of the darkness. He threw his entire body between the barrel of the gun and Britt Westbourne. A deafening gunshot ripped through the silent night. The bright flash of the muzzle illuminated the dark woods for a split second, revealing the sheer terror on everyone's face. The bullet, meant to end Britt's life, found a completely different target. It tore through Kai's chest with devastating, unstoppable force. The brutal impact threw him backward into the dirt. The brave boy who just wanted to protect Trina Robinson had just taken a fatal bullet for a total stranger. And that changes everything. The sound of the gunshot echoed violently off the mountainside, but it did more than just break the silence of the night. The sheer, undeniable violence of the moment shattered Anna's hallucination into a million pieces. Seeing an innocent boy bleeding out on the ground snapped Anna violently back to reality. The ghost of Peter August vanished into thin air. Anna blinked, the madness suddenly clearing from her eyes. She looked down at the smoking gun in her trembling hand. Then she looked at the bleeding boy gasping for air on the ground. The horrifying reality of what she had just done crashed down on Anna like a ton of bricks. She did not shoot a monster. She did not shoot a villain. She shot an innocent young man. The chief of police had just committed a brutal, senseless act of violence. Anna dropped the gun as if it burned her skin. She fell to her knees in the dirt, screaming in absolute horror. The perfectly calculated murder plot had just turned into a catastrophic, life-destroying tragedy. Britt Westbourne did not freeze. The exact moment Kai hit the ground, her brilliant doctor instincts kicked into massive overdrive. She scrambled through the mud, completely ignoring the fact that she was just seconds away from being murdered herself. She ripped off her jacket and pressed it as hard as she could against Kai's bleeding chest. She frantically searched for a fading pulse. She screamed at Anna to snap out of her shock and call for help. "What did you do? Help me!" Britt shrieked into the night. Anna, trembling uncontrollably and sobbing, fumbled for her phone. She dialed 911 with Kai's blood on her hands. She begged the emergency dispatcher to send an ambulance to Mount Emerson immediately. But they were miles away from civilization. The mountain roads were treacherous and winding. The emergency response time was going to be agonizingly slow. Every single second felt like a painful eternity as Britt fought with everything she had to keep Kai alive. But guys, some wounds are just too severe. Despite Britt's frantic, desperate CPR, despite her relentless attempts to stop the massive bleeding, Kai's life began to slip away. He looked up at the dark, unforgiving sky, his breathing growing shallow and erratic. He took a bullet to save a life, and now he was paying the ultimate, terrifying price. Right there, on the cold, muddy ground of Mount Emerson, Kai Taylor took his final, ragged breath. The fallout from this night is going to be apocalyptic for everyone involved. Anna Devane's life is completely over. There is absolutely no escaping this reality. She cannot hide behind her shiny police badge. She cannot blame Ross Cullum or the WSB. She pulled the trigger, and an innocent boy is dead. The chief of police is going to be arrested for first-degree murder. She is going straight to a maximum security prison, and her legendary legacy will be forever destroyed by the lingering ghost of Peter August. Britt Westbourne is finally safe. The massive threat against her life has been permanently neutralized. Anna is going behind bars, and Britt gets to walk away from the mountain. But she will never, ever be the same person again. She survived, but only because a young, brave man sacrificed his entire future for her. Britt will have to carry the heavy, crushing burden of Kai's death for the rest of her life. She is physically safe, but mentally, she is stepping into a brand new, inescapable nightmare of survivor's guilt. And what about Trina Robinson? Trina is going to be completely devastated. She has been trying so hard to focus on her music career, trying to avoid her parents' endless drama. Now, she is going to receive the worst phone call imaginable. The boy who cared about her, the boy who was actively trying to protect her from a hidden stalker, is dead. Trina's world is going to shatter into a million jagged pieces, and the overwhelming grief might push her right over the edge. The sirens are echoing in the distance right now. The police cruisers are speeding up the mountain, lights flashing in the dark. When they arrive at the clearing, they are going to find their own chief of police covered in blood, sobbing over a dead body. But here is the real terrifying question. Will Anna confess to everything she did? Or will her fractured, broken mind try to pin the blame on Britt to save herself? A massive, explosive investigation is about to blow Port Charles wide open. Someone's life is officially over, and the nightmare is just beginning. You absolutely cannot miss the next episode.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.